On episode 63 of Confessions of a Marketer, SEO is dead. Hi, it's Mark Reed Edwards. Welcome back to Confessions of a Marketer. Karin Conroy is back to continue our chat about whole-brained marketing. We'll get to that in just a moment. Coming soon, we have Josh Martin back in to dig a bit more into product marketing. Chris Daly will be back to figure out how to convert social media traffic. And Ricardo Osti will be in to chat about the role marketing plays in the customer experience. Also, I'm excited that a few people who've been on before will be back, including Elle Wolf, John Chang, and Rob Whedon. I want to invite you to have a listen to my other venture, the Innovation Podcast, the iPod we like to call it, with my co-host Garnett Harriman. Lots of fun stuff happening over there. Head over to theinnovationpodcast.co to tune in. Okay, back to Karin Conroy. Last time, Karin introduced the concept of whole-brained marketing. In the second part of our discussion, we talk about SEO, trends Karin is following, and things like chatbots. So let's get to it.
They are all different, but I do have kind of a set of questions that are very broad and get to the heart of their bigger message and who their clients are. I am very systematic. I've learned over years. I've been doing just this law firm part for about 12 years now. And so over the course of years, I've learned how to kind of create more systems around these projects because it very quickly can, just go off the rails and stall. And typically website projects aren't something that people are very comfortable with. They've maybe done them once or twice before, maybe, but oftentimes, they haven't, and they don't know how it works, and they're a little uncomfortable with it. So I try to make it as very clear, and I always start out by saying, listen, I'm not an attorney, and I don't pretend to understand how your work happens, and so I don't expect you to understand how this happens. I'm going to try to make it as clear and understandable as possible, and so I don't expect them to understand for sure the technology behind the website, but not even, how we go about making these choices. So initially, I do have, a set of intake questions that get to who their clients are, who we're kind of trying to approach and or who the visitor is to the website, and just kind of nail down the big initial questions about what the visuals should look like as far as tone. Some of these clients are coming to me and they have a very corporate kind of, look to them. And some of them are like estate planning attorneys who have a very personal one-on-one type of consumer. So, the visuals are all over the place depending on, who they are and what kind of clients they're working with.
You mentioned SEO earlier, and I'm just interested in what your point of view is on SEO for, the legal profession, but just in general, it seems to me like it's almost dead because, Google kind of owns it and they can change it whenever they want on a whim.
Yeah, I've had different beliefs, I guess, about it over the years too. And I don't think it's dead. I think you need to be very realistic about it. I always start every SEO conversation out by describing that I'm very conservative about it. Yeah. A lot of these attorneys have gotten these huge pitches from SEO firms that talk about, very hard kind of used car salesman pitches, and they don't understand the technology behind it. And they get really confused really quickly. And they say, I don't know how this stuff works. And it sounds very, snake oil. And so, but there is a lot to setting your website up the correct way to make sure that you're ranking. And there are things, we have tools where we will run through the site and do an audit to find potential errors, things that aren't optimized, to their best. And then in very niche areas in, the kind of work that I do, there are places where pay-per-click and things like that do make sense, but there's many more where it doesn't. So, I have some clients who have a very specialized kind of practice where after doing a bunch of research to establish, goals and make sure that there's value there, we will set up a campaign. And if we don't see results quickly, I'm not going to waste their money. And, my main goal is to let them know that, I want you to see value. I want you to see measurable results. And I'll even tell them from the beginning, if you don't start to feel it, you don't need to see my reports. You don't need to, kind of get all the numbers. But if you don't feel that all of a sudden the phone is ringing better and you're getting more clients and you just sense that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, then, it probably isn't. So you don't need to have an advanced degree in analytics to know in your gut if this stuff is working.
Yeah. And I mean, most of these are relatively small businesses,
right?
So they know when the phone's ringing or when it isn't.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But a lot of times they just get sold this kind of bill of goods about it where they sit down with a really kind of harsh salesman who says, okay, if you spend $10,000, but you get 15 cases, and they start to kind of crunch these numbers in a way where they just kind of, their head spins a little bit. So I try to kind of step back from that and say, listen, forget all of that stuff. It should just be basically working.
Just want to take a moment to tell you about Rev.com. I do a lot of interviews here on my podcast and also in my day job as a marketer. I talk to a lot of people. I take notes, but most of the time they're incomplete and miss important things. So I usually record the interviews. But even when you record an interview, you still need to transcribe it, right? I've tried everything in an attempt to find the perfect combination of speed, accuracy, and affordability in transcriptions. And I think I've found perfection in Rev.com. I use it to transcribe all of my interviews, and it's accurate, fast, and let me tell you, it's affordable. So whether you're doing user research, have your own podcast or YouTube channel, and you want to add SEO value to your site, or maybe you want to write a book, Rev.com is the right solution for you. You'll gain insights you never thought of, and you'll save the time it takes to transcribe. And right now, to let you try it for yourself, Rev.com is offering a $10 coupon for first-time users. Just visit rev.com/blog/confessions. That's rev.com/blog/confessions. All right, back to the show. This is where the rational side of the brain comes in.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So thinking kind of holistically about marketing in the creative world, are there any trends you're tracking for the next year or so that you're interested in?
To be honest, the legal industry is very behind. So, things that seem very current and, fancy to law firms are stuff typically that, the rest of the world figured out a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, they're just figuring out now how to do kind of chat on websites in a way that's not obnoxious and actually, is more like the intelligent kind of person there to help answer questions and kind of stuff like that. In the past, these chat things would pop up and it was horrible and it just interfered with the whole experience. And, I would honestly say that podcasts are just kind of getting there with the legal industry, whereas, I think the rest of the world, it's been 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, the things that I'm seeing that are fresh for the legal industry are not going to be any kind of revolutionary things that I think your audience would be like, oh, that's an interesting idea. The one thing that I love and that I talk to my clients all the time about are the kind of calendar scheduling things. Like I use Calendly.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love that. And they get better and better where I can embed it into an email and just say, here's the next 2 times, click on it. And they don't even have to click out to a browser. I find that to be such a game changer in that kind of tennis match of back and forth trying to set up a time.
Sure.
And, not revolutionary, but it really does change things for me and for law firms, especially when they want to be available to their clients who are, oftentimes kind of going through a crisis or things like that. So, I would say, I think it's the things that are becoming more and more kind of trendy for lawyers are these little things like that make a big difference in people's lives, but aren't like, an iPad that never existed before or some kind of brand new, amazing, life-changing thing for the rest of the masses.
Well, sometimes incremental change can be revolutionary in an industry, and I think that maybe is the case in the legal realm.
Yeah, I think so. And, honestly, the calendar thing, it really has changed my ability to appear available at all times to my clients. They know that they can just, pop in and grab time on my calendar without having to even really contact me. So, they have a different approach to, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to email her and we're going to go back and forth. And so, like you said, little things like that it's really been revolutionary in my ability to kind of present myself to my clients and potential clients.
That's neat. And you mentioned, chat on websites. Do, legal businesses use chatbots and things like that? Or are there kind of legal ramifications of using that?
That's a good question. I think there are, and I'm the first to say I'm not a lawyer. So, and from one state to the next, some of these things, one state bar is more kind of, readily responding to things like that. So I would always advise my clients to check it out with their state bar, because even as far as like the requirements for the things they need to say on the bottom of their website with their privacy policy and things like that, that's different from one state to the next.
Sure.
But I think the chat thing is getting better. Like I said before, it used to be so obnoxious. It would just kind of hit you in the face as soon as you landed on the site, and you couldn't get it to go away. And it was just obnoxious. But now it's usually this like kind of AI little, robot woman, man, whatever thing down in the corner that is actually useful, where if you have a quick question, I find myself using it on, other websites all the time where I just have a quick question. And so if it's done well and if it's done right, I think it can be useful. And depending on the practice area, if it's a estate planning attorney and their clients don't have critical, urgent questions, they just need to drop a will or something, that they don't probably need a chatbot. But if you are a criminal defense attorney and, the police are knocking on their door and they are panicked and they need an answer immediately, and that chatbot connects to potentially, texting on your phone, and they can get that quick, immediate response, there's a much higher potential for that client to stay with, that attorney than the next website that doesn't have that feature.
Yeah. Boy, if the police are knocking on your door, though, are you going to go onto a website?
Well, maybe that's a bad example, but maybe they're on their way driving over.
Good. It's a fascinating area of the world, the legal realm, and I'm sure we could talk for hours about it, but thanks for joining me. This was really a fun chat.
Absolutely. I enjoyed being here. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thanks to Karin for joining me. Next time, Josh Martin is back to delve into the product marketing job. This episode of Confessions of a Marketer was written, produced, and edited by yours truly. T. Jordan of A-Class Productions wrote the theme music. Confessions of a Marketer is a trademark of Reed Edwards Global Inc., and this episode is copyright 2019. I'm Mark Reed Edwards. See you next time.